Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Adobe Live. Welcome to the final challenge of the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge for the Adventure Guild theme. What's up, Heidi? What's up, Bobby? What's up, Sam? It's good to see everyone in chat. I told you guys that I had a bit of a surprise for you folks this morning, and I have decided to do a Fantasy Adventure Guild cosplay of my avatar from challenge number 1. What is up? Jordan, I didn't expect that. Oh yes. I thought I had to do something spectacular for the end of this challenge, and I wanted to do some super nerdy extra fantasy cosplay for you guys. It's the real me. Yes, I've actually had cosplay on every day up until now. This is what I actually look like. So I've got my ears, and I've got my face on, and I've got my long flowy elven ears on, and I am ready to get designing. So for those of you folks who don't know what's going on today, I promise this is not a usual thing. But my name is Voodoo Val, and I'm going to be your host for today's challenge. If you would like to get involved in what we're doing today and participate along with me, all you have to do is go to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. And that looks a bit like this. Let me pop over here. All right, so behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, where basically what happens is every day we reveal to you folks an awesome challenge. And as you can see, we've been we did stylized avatars, we did icon design, tools and filters, photo compositing, textures and patterns, custom brushes, puppet warp tool, timeline animation, and today we're doing magical effects. I'm so excited. I'm very purple this morning. Don't you guys know? I'm super excited about it. Oh, I love you guys too, Nora. Thank you for being here. Would love it to be a usual thing. Maybe. I'll try to sneak it in there whenever I can. All right, so another point real quick before we jump into what we're going to do today is you guys can actually join our Discord and chit chat with us and show us what you've been doing for your challenges, share your artwork, introduce yourself to the community, and make some cool design friends. And you can get to our Discord by either going to chat with the community chat here, scrolling down to the bottom of the page and hitting join us under chat with the community, or you folks can actually go over here to the Adobe Discord URL, which is bit.ly/PS Discord, capital P, capital S Discord, and you can join us with everything that we're doing over there. Hey, Bohana. Hey, Seika. Good to see you. What's up, Tim? What's up, Lindsay? What's up, Andy? Hey, Robin. Are you staying purple all day? I am staying purple all day because after this challenge, it would be a shame to waste it. So I'll probably take some cool pictures and stuff and post it on social media. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to jump into what we are doing today. So let me page down all of this stuff, and then we're going to jump into it. Let me bump over here. So today I'm going to show you how to make some cool magical effects around an item. Now, we have done a lot of things, like I mentioned earlier, and I can actually maybe pull this up one more time so you guys can see kind of what we've been doing if you are new here. Let me go to my Behance and hit my Photoshop DCC. So there I am. My avatar that I made is a little bit more pink than I am today, but I only had purple cosplay paint, so that's what I did. But I think I did a pretty good job. I think it's pretty close to what I made. But we've been doing all of these cool fantasy themes for all of our challenges. And as I've said before, if you're not a fantasy person, if you're not into video games or RPG or Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that, that's totally cool. You can repurpose these challenges however you want and make them into challenges that suit you and your needs and scrub up on the skills the way that you want to. But if you've been following along with the fantasy stuff and you've been keeping track of our little timeline here, basically what we did is we chose a class. You know, we made our icons, chose whether we're going to be an elf or a wizard or a barbarian. Then we gathered our items for our quest outside of the Adventure Guild. Then we raised our banners, we created our house crests, and prepared our flags to go into battle. And then we created our fantasy weapon, which mine was a super cool sword that I did. Then we gathered our heroic companion. Mine was a giant attack pigeon that I had to do, obviously. And then we created our map so that we know exactly where we're going on our adventure. Then we struck a pose for battle, or struck just a heroic pose for the village outside of our adventure guild. And then yesterday we did a little bit of leveling up, where we created kind of a progress bar or experience bar as we are fighting monsters out in the Wicked Wood. And today the theme is basically epic loot. So we're going to create an epic piece of loot that would be super cool to find on our travels after defeating the final boss. So this is how we are going to do it. I am going to snag this image real quick of the natural amber that I used for my sword. And I'm going to grab my pen tool by hitting P on the keyboard. And I am going to come over here and I'm going to cut this out again. I'm going to use this same image. And so if you guys chose your image for challenge number 4, if you were following along, then you folks can actually use the same image that you used for that as well. So to kind of give you a little head start, so you don't have to grab a new photo today. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut this out as quickly as I can. And then we're going to add some super cool effects to this. So let me grab this. I'm going to go like that. I'm going to bring this up here. Drag that around like so. Kind of curve this upward here like that. And then I'm going to bump this little armature up here and curve it around. Boom, like so, and then connect it. Let's actually connect that and drag it out like that. All right, cool. So then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to press selection. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to grab my marquee tool by either clicking it from my little thing over here or pressing M on my keyboard. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say select inverse, and I'm going to go Control J if it will allow me. There we go. So now I have just my cool little nifty piece of amber here. And then I'm going to grab this layer and I'm just going to drag it up to my epic loot file, and I'm going to drop this into here. I'm going to press Control T to free transform, and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to pull it kind of to the side here, and I'm just going to put this in the middle of my canvas here. All right. Before going to do some killing, you have time to do Photoshop. Oh yes, before I go fight monsters, I always do a little bit of Photoshop, folks. Always, always, always. Before I conjure any monsters, before I do any spell casting, I always do a session of design. All right, so I'm gonna press enter here. Just to kind of place that. And I'm going to double click my layer here, and we're going to jump into some layer styles. So I'm going to pull this up like so. And I'm actually going to come over here to Inner Glow, which is right here, because I want to make this look a little more vibrant, right? So I have got Inner Glow on, and you can change your color to whatever you want here. I might change this to a more gold color just to give it that pop, rather than just putting like an overlay layer or a color dodge layer over the top of it, because I definitely want it to be confined perfectly to just this item. If you're more comfortable with blending styles, layer styles, and blending modes and things, you can definitely do that, but this is just another example of how one can achieve a very similar look. So I'm going to say okay, and then I'm also going to apply some outer glow. So I'm going to hit outer glow over here, and I'm also going to, you can either select a color from the color picker, or you can come over here and select a color from the actual item itself, which I might do. I'm going to say okay, I am going to kind of bump the size up a little bit, and I'm going to turn the spread down so that it has like more of a gradient look to it. And then I'm going to turn this on a blending mode, and I'm going to cycle through these blending modes here. If you're on a PC, all you have to do is highlight that, and then it will allow you to use the arrow keys up and down to go through different blending modes. Or what you can do is you can just open it up here and you can cycle through like that, and it will preview. I might even make this kind of a brighter yellow color just to make it a little more like what I want. And I'm going to cycle through here. That one actually is pretty cool. It's very subtle, but I like that. I'm going to bump the opacity up a little bit. And you can add some noise to it too, if that's something that you want. It's all dependent on personal preference. I might add just like 5% noise and keep the opacity at around 80, just to give it kind of a glow. All right. Now you can even go as far as to maybe add a stroke to this. If you want to add like a yellow stroke to it, that would be cool. Just kind of give it like a rim of light as well. It is up to you. You can change the size up or down on that. I might actually leave it at like a 3 because that works for me. And you can manage the opacity however you like. You can change the position to like outside, inside, center. Center might be good for this because it'll take care of any of the outer lying maybe artifacts that I missed when I did my selection. And I like that pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and say okay. Now, this is all pretty cool, but it's not as cool as it could be. So we're going to jump into the distortion filters in Photoshop and kind of add an interesting texture behind it. And to do that, I'm going to quickly close this panel on my item here. And I'm going to hide this item all together because I want to focus on creating a cool pattern and texture to put behind it. And I'm going to do that by, I'm going to select my background layer here. I'm going to say Control-Shift-N to create a new layer. I'm going to hit, or I'm going to call this texture. And then I'm going to hit Enter. And then I'm going to grab my line tool, which is actually right here. Or if you hover over this, it'll give you the key command or the shortcut for it. And I'm going to say it's U. So I'm going to just press U on my keyboard because I want to get more familiar with the shortcut for that. And I'm going to drag some gold lines out. Now you can click your color from up here, either this thing in the corner here so that you can open up the color picker, or you can select from any pre-selected colors that you have loaded up, or you can choose from your regular colors or your recently used colors. I'm going to leave it on gold because I like that gold that I have. And I wouldn't recommend putting a stroke on this if I were you. If that works for your project, then that's fine. But I'm going to leave the stroke turned completely off for this. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to hold Shift to make sure that these drag out very straight. And I'm just going to make like kind of a grid of lines here that I am going to distort with our distort filters. So I'm going to go, let's maybe bump this one over here a little bit. That works for me. And I'm just going to take care of this real quick, and then we will jump into all of the cool filters we have available to us. Let me put one like right there. And this can be done however you want. You don't have to do it exactly like I'm doing it, but I just want like a little bit of craziness kind of happening. So not everything is exactly the same when I do it. And I'm gonna say that looks pretty good. And what I'm gonna do, because these are all different shapes, is I want them all to be like one smart object. So what I'm gonna do for mine is I'm just gonna rasterize everything, and then I'm gonna right click again, and I'm gonna say convert to smart object. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but that's how I want to have mine. It's just one consecutive item instead of all of them being separated into different paths. So that is what I am doing for mine. Now, I'm going to press Control T or Command T and center that real quick. And then I'm going to come up here to Filter, and I'm going to go Distort, and I'm going to go to Twirl real quick. So I'm going to hit that. And you can see here, you get kind of a panel that will show you a little bit of what exactly you are going to be doing to this item that you have here. And I like that pretty well. I don't think I need to turn this up or down really. I kind of like that, but you can see that if I wanted to, I could turn this left or right or less or more or whatever I wanted. But I am going to leave that on 526 or 525 because that looked pretty good to me. And then I'm going to hit OK. Boom. So now we have like this crazy swirl, but we're not done. So we're going to come up here to filter again, and you can do a twirl again. Remember, just like how we did the distortion stuff with the displacement maps, you can do that over and over again if you want a little more, but I am going to actually use a different selection in the distort, and I'm going to do wave. Wave is pretty cool because it will seriously start to alter everything that we've got going here. You can turn up the number of generators if you want. You can edit the wavelength, which can look pretty cool depending on what you're doing. The amplitude is a pretty nifty one to mess around with. I'll just kind of let you guys figure out what exactly you want to do, kind of play around with the sorts of effects and stuff that you guys get. But I'm going to go ahead and just hit OK on this because I've used this before and I quite like it. So I'm going to say OK. And that gives us this crazy pattern. Like how cool is that? Like, look at the detail in that. It's so interesting. This is a really great way if you're not doing like our fantasy magical item challenge today. This is a really cool way to make some awesome patterns and things, maybe just for the background of your Behance presentations, to create patterns to overlay while you're photo compositing, or perhaps just a cool texture to use while you're painting and you want to add a little bit of pizzazz to one of your illustrations or something. You could use this to simulate like kind of an oil and water effect. I think it also kind of looks like fingerprints in a strange way. You guys can figure out all different kinds of ways that you could use a pattern like this. So I've got this cool nifty thing. I'm going to turn my item back on here, and I'm going to maybe make it a little bit smaller by selecting that layer, saying Control T. I'm going to hold Alt so that I'm resizing from all sides here, and I'm going to put that there just like that. And I might even put this texture back here on a bit of a blending mode. So if I hide with that little panel, that little arrow panel there, just to hide all the different things I've done to this smart object, I can select this layer, and then I'm going to cycle through these blending modes that I have, because I do want it to, I mean, screen looks okay, but I kind of like color dodge. Color dodge is pretty cool. That's pretty neat. I think I'll do that. So I wanted to use a blending mode so that it looks a little more like I altered it and it kind of adheres to the vibe of this piece rather than just placing a straight texture into our image here. It does look like Damascus steel. Oh yes, it absolutely does. So that's pretty cool, but we can do a few more things to this to make it look a little more magical. First of all, I think it would be cool to maybe make a new layer with Control-Shift-N. And then I think maybe I'll grab my brush tool, and I'm going to right-click here to make sure we're on the brush tool and not the mixer brush. I'm going to right-click here so I can open up my brush panel. I'm going to grab the soft round brush, and I'm going to hold Alt and sample this black color out here because I kind of want to add some darker edges here to kind of blend in stuff. And I am using a mouse right now. A lot of times I use a stylus, but I just want to do this with a mouse to show that if you folks do not have a stylus, that you can still do some cool stuff like this. So I'm going to kind of darken these edges just to have it kind of shrouded in shadow, so to speak. And then I can either turn the opacity down on that just slightly, or I can place it on a blending mode. But I think that the opacity works for this a little bit, just to really show that glow. And then if we want to add a little more pizzazz to this, I can make another layer over the top of everything with Control-Shift-N yet again. And maybe sample a gold color from our item here, make my brush a little bit bigger, and kind of drop, just click once there to add like a really big glow, and then find a blending mode for that as well. That actually looks really cool. That makes it look more like it's like dark and mysterious instead of glowing orange. That's color burn. That looks pretty neat. I have a feeling though that like the color dodge is a little bright. Maybe overlay or soft light. Actually, I think overlay looks great. That looks super awesome. And you can even get in here and do more stuff. Like if this was my project, which it is, I might do something like this on another layer. Let's say Control Shift in. I can find a brush that maybe has some strange particles or something in it. I've got some like that, like maybe this one here. Maybe I will make it larger and I will start to kind of drop in some little artifacts here, like so. Maybe I'll grab my eraser brush and kind of remove away some things like this. And then we could put that on like maybe a motion blur. So let's do that. Maybe I'll do Control U for hue and saturation and I'll bump that up a little brighter. And then I'll say filter, blur, motion blur, and then really get that distance going there, which is kind of cool. It just adds like a little bit of movement around it. And you can take this down a notch if you want to. I don't have all the time in the world this morning to do everything that I really want to do to get all that gritty coolness in there, but that's just an idea if you think that might work. But there is our super awesome, like magical glowing item of power that we have won after fighting our final boss this morning. Yes, Val Alf to the max. Did I make these brushes? I did not make these brushes, but we did do a challenge this week on how to create custom brushes, which you guys can check out in the replays panel or on the YouTube if you'd like to make some brushes of your own. So real quick, I'm gonna go Control Shift S for save as, and I'm gonna save this as Epic Loot. I'm gonna save a JPEG of it. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say okay. And then I'm also real quick just gonna show you guys, because I did do kind of a practice run of this. And in the practice run, I actually subtracted a little bit with my eraser from the texture I made in the background. So I'm just gonna show you guys what that looked like so you can see it, because it was a little more mysterious. And then I also did like all that motion blur around it, which was pretty cool. So that was a fun one as well. I think they both look pretty neat. But now I'm gonna go over real quick to the Discord and pull up my Discord. And I'm gonna come down here. I see Tan is just killing it here with this awesome animation and the character animation too for our challenges. Excellent work, Tan. I'm gonna hit this little plus button right here to add my challenge entry to the current challenge tab. I'm going to add both of them actually so you folks can see them both. I'm going to say upload, and those are my challenges. I'm even going to come over to Behance real quick because I definitely want my stuff to be uploaded to my Behance project. I'm going to hover over the little gear icon and say edit on my Behance project. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to come in here through all of my awesome Adventure Guild challenges. And challenge 9, I'm going to call this in caps Epic Loot with one E, not two E's. And then underneath here, I'm going to add a grid. I'm going to say upload files, and then I am going to navigate to where my lesson is. I'm going to grab both of my images, and I'm going to throw them in there. I'm going to bump them in like so, and that is the lesson for the day. I'm super, super excited with how this turned out. I can't wait to see what you guys do. I've been in the Discord so much lately, just kind of checking out all the stuff that you guys have created, and I'm just blown away by how, like, next level you guys took these Adventure Guild challenges. You guys did such a wonderful job. You should all be very proud of yourselves. And then I am going to, real quick, touch on this because this is very important. Go into your settings before you save your project, hit discoverability, and make sure PS daily challenge is in your keywords so that people can find your project when they search for you on Behance. I'm going to hit save. And that is the challenge for the day. A full 2 weeks of challenges, guys. I'm sorry to see it come to an end, but fear not. There is going to be another awesome, super cool streamer coming at you next week with another 2 weeks of Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges. There's also an XD Daily Creative Challenge coming up later today, so please stay tuned for that because you're not going to want to miss Peter Del Tondo's final challenge for his round of lessons. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Adios, adventurers!